Okay, how to survive mania. So if you're like full blown manic, like bipolar or whatever, like hardcore bipolar, don't watch this video. Just go get some help, okay? But this is for everybody who can manage it, like experiences mania on a manageable level. Then this video is for you, because I also experienced that, okay? So the thing is, there's a tendency when you experience really high moods to get carried away and think and start identifying with all the shit that you're gonna do. Okay, that's the danger. If you can withhold from that and instead recognize the real utility of the positive emotions, then you can come back to being the center of it all. Okay, so what is the utility of the positive emotions that you're experiencing? Okay, because then you can use them to your advantage rather than letting them kill you. Okay, so there's a broaden and build theory of positive emotions by Barbara Fredrickson that I buy into. It's the most prominent theory probably on why we have these positive emotions, okay? So negative emotions, on the other hand, they're like what we would call specific action tendencies, okay? So they actually limit your way of responding. So like if you, let's say, touch a hot stove, you'll just pull your hand away, okay? It's a very specific action. Or let's say you feel anger, you feel disgust, you feel fear. They promote very specific action tendencies, and they constrict your vision. They constrict your behavioral repertoire, okay, into just like getting away from the aversive object, okay. But it was hard for psychologists to understand what was the utility of positive emotions, because ostensibly, like on the face of it, they actually take you away from reality, right? Like when you're out there just having fun or whatever, you're actually taking your attention off the immediate environment. So what's the utility of them, okay? And it's important to understand this if you want to learn how to use your mania, how to let it work for you rather than against you, okay? The utility, according to that theory, and I buy into this, is that the positive emotions broaden your way of responding to the world. They broaden your thought and action repertoire, your behavioral repertoire, all that stuff, right? Like instead, rather than constricting your vision, they open up your vision. They open up your vistas, your mental horizons, so that now, let's say you experience curiosity, you can let the emotion of curiosity, it leads to navigational knowledge, let's say, right? Or let's say you have a fun encounter with somebody, you enjoy spending time with somebody, well then that leads to a budding friendship, right? And so these positive emotions, by opening up your ways of thinking and acting, by doing this, they let you build psychological resources and other kinds of resources for the tough times ahead, right? Okay, so they broaden you in that way so that you can build up resources that help you in the long run. Okay, so now, having understood that, when you experience very high positive emotions, okay, don't think that the utility of those positive emotions is to do something. That's not it, because you should be doing something regardless of how you feel. Okay, like you should, if you're relying on emotions to get stuff done, you've already fucked it up. Because the thing is, once you understand even facilitation, like how facilitation works, how social facilitation works, there's theory around that, right? So like, let's say if you wanted to do a whole bunch of push-ups, then the facilitation works. Like then you want to get hyped up, you want to get pumped up. For tasks like those, research shows getting pumped up works, okay, for a straightforward, like just physical task, like doing a lot of push-ups. But for complicated tasks that require more like complicated thinking, problem solving, troubleshooting, so on, getting hyped up in that state actually works against you, because under stress, your thinking, your brain offloads. Like type 1, type 2 thinking, like Kahneman's work and stuff. They showed it with rats and like human, like all sorts of studies showing that's like under stress, your brain relies on very habitual ways of responding. It's like a very low level kind of thinking. But for higher level thinking, you want to be as calm as possible, like out of stress, okay? So getting pumped up doesn't work there. So you shouldn't be relying on like these positive emotions and getting pumped up and hyped up and all that shit to get things done. It's better just to be calm, to return to being present, to return to being the center of the storm, not let it carry you away, okay? So this was such a boon for me to understand this, because now when I experience high emotions, like even just now, like driving on the highway, feeling the exhilaration of going fast, right? Like in my car, like feeling good. The work day is done. I was feeling the positive emotions associated with hope, like the things that I want to do. So the old me would get wrapped up and carried away with all the things that I want to do, and I would start identifying with that, get all hyped up, and then what that does is like then the crash comes, okay? Because your body can only stay in that pumped up state for so long. So when the crash comes, then actually I end up not doing the things that that I was going to do when I was all pumped up, thinking I was going to do, right? So actually getting pumped up works against you, because then when the crash comes, then you actually end up not doing anything. All you did was like you did a whole bunch of planning, you talked about it, you told everyone you're going to do a bunch of shit, and then you end up doing nothing because you crash inevitably after the spike of positive emotions. Rather, now I know how to let the positive emotions work for me. When I've experienced that state, like I was just experiencing right now on the highway, I just come back to center. I just come back to being present and just enjoy the positive emotions for what they are, rather than what they signify, because they don't signify shit, okay? whatever your positive emotions promise you when you're manic, it's all shit, okay? Doesn't mean shit. Don't go out there telling people what you're gonna do. Don't start hyping yourself up. Don't start planning shit like what you're gonna do. Fuck that shit, okay? What the positive emotions, the utility in that moment, appreciate for what they are doing. In that moment, all they're doing is they're expanding your thought repertoire, okay? Getting you past the limitations of the thinking of that comes from a negative mood. Because the thinking that comes from a negative mood, like if you look at the research around, like there's a book by Nesse, Nesse. He covered the evolutionary utility of positive and negative emotions in one of his books, which I really loved, and it made me understand all this, right? Like what's the utility of a negative mood, and what's the utility of a positive mood? So like when you're in a less clement circumstance, when you're under less clement circumstances, less forgiving circumstances, like shit is against you, okay? Let's say you're in poverty or some shit. Then negative emotions, they keep your mind to like economizing, so like scrounging or like penny pitching, shit like that, right? Because their positive emotions, they work. A positive mood works against you, because positive mood makes you take risks. It makes you live large. And when the circumstances are working against you, and there isn't much abundance to go around, when you're living in scarcity, then you want negative moods that kind of keeps you down to reality, makes you make the most of your limited resources, okay? On the other hand, when the circumstances are clement, when they're forgiving, when there's abundance, a lot to go around, then the positive mood helps you. There's utility there, because it makes you take risks. It makes you expand what you're going, like it makes you go for more, okay? So when you feel the positive emotions, when I feel the positive emotions, I know their utility. The utility is just to broaden my thinking. That's it. It's not for me to get more things done. In fact, the positive, like I described, it works against me in getting things done, because you'll have the inevitable crash. The crash, and then you won't get things done if you let yourself get hyped up and carried away, okay? Rather, I relax into the mood. And rather than identifying with the things I'm going to do, I just sink into it. I relax into it and just appreciate that it's expanding my thinking, okay? And that's all it's doing. That's all I need it to do. And it's beautiful. It's a gift. Then it truly becomes a gift. I stay centered, and then I don't crash, okay? Because I don't get hyped up, and my thinking remains large, okay? So yeah, and I have to qualify all this, right? Because in this fucking trigger-ridden society, like this fucking where everybody is like wants to like offload responsibility for like killing themselves or some shit. I don't know, fuck. It's just take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a therapist or anything, okay? If your bipolar is such that it makes you kill yourself, or like it fucks you up mentally too much, then please go see a therapist or something. Even whatever, fuck, that's not my place. I'm not here to replace any of that shit, okay? I'm just giving like my perspective on manageable mania, because there is a spectrum. We know this. Bipolar is not black or white. There are people who can live with it, and I've been living with it for years. There was a time when I couldn't, when it fucked me up, but through a healthy diet, a good lifestyle, managing, like making sure I get enough sleep, all that stuff. Also Now that kind of my PFC, is the prefrontal cortex, has fully matured, fully developed, I have more self-control, all this stuff. Yeah, I'm able to let it work to my advantage. It's a gift. But yeah, I hope this helps.